Welcome to another episode of the Technician's Toolbox. I'm your host, Victor Hernandez. This power tip will deal with the new Chrysler ignition system codes and their diagnostic procedures. The ignition systems and their diagnostic procedures have changed. The Next Generation Control PCM has introduced some new codes for reporting ignition system failures that may be unfamiliar in their definitions and their diagnostic procedures. After reading the codes and procedures, it will become clear that it will take some understanding of a new ignition system test. The ignition system is not a new system. The components are the same, with the exception of the spark plugs having a new heat range. It is a direct ignition system. The coil pack we are familiar with, the short plug wires, one power wire and two trigger wires go into the coil. The powertrain control module is still in control of the ignition system. The powertrain control module uses two inputs that it relies on for ignition trigger. The basic inputs are crank sensor and cam sensor. The cam sensor and crank sensor must generate the correct waveform in order to correctly control timing. In the previous years, the crank sensor and cam sensor had to be in synchronization for the PCM to turn on the auto shutdown relay and power up the ignition coil. The Next Generation Controller, or NGC, does not need synchronization for engine to start. If synchronization is off, the system will set codes and fuel mileage will be lower on the NGC system. There are new data PIDs to monitor for the crank sensor and cam sensor and synchronization, for example. Here are some of the new codes. The diagnostic procedure can be hard to follow and cause replacement of wrong parts. Both codes are related to spark plugs and the duration of the spark across the gap. The set condition is if the PCM detects that the secondary ignition burn time is incorrect or not present, it detects an error. It is a one-trip fault. The listed possible causes in Chrysler's diagnostic data are an intermittent condition, the spark plug ignition wire, ignition coil operation, ignition coil driver circuit operation, control circuit shorted to ground, the PCM being damaged, or the auto shutdown relay having an open circuit. The most common causes of these codes is the spark plugs misfiring or bad plug wires. The PCM does not include a quad driver error code for this system, and a failed quad driver can cause the same code here as in the example. The waveform shows the missing low amp waveform and PCM with a burned quad driver. The diagnosis involved reading and understanding that Chrysler ignition systems are capable of setting codes for the ignition system not creating a spark that jumps across the spark plug gap. We also found that a bad quad driver can set the same code. The Chrysler PCM code list does not include a specific quad driver failure code. In the previous years, a quad driver error and/or failure code would set. The early system also had some limitations. For example, if the cam sensor and crank sensor were slightly out of synchronization, the PCM would reset and cause a hesitation and possibly a quad driver code. This power tip dealt with the new Chrysler ignition system codes and their diagnostic strategies. Thank you for watching this Technician's Toolbox video.